welcome back to the Leverage podcast, where we talk about creating wealth, building legacies, and empowering our communities. I'm your host, Quaker Q, and today we have a very special guest with us, my 14-year-old son, Jeremiah. Jeremiah, say what's up.
Yep, hi. My name is Jeremiah. I'm 14 years old,
Uh-huh.
and I currently go to school,
Mm-hmm.
and
What grade are you in?
I'm in ninth grade.
All right.
Yep, ninth grade, freshman year.
Okay, so I'm excited to have you here because, a lot of times we talk about money, finances, entrepreneurship, and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me just drag you on out here and let's see what you're thinking, what some of your peers are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about, I know in your generation, right, you guys grew up on money apps, Cash App, Zelle,
Mm-hmm.
Venmo. Are you familiar with Venmo?
Yes.
Venmo.
Yes.
What else? Am I missing something? Cash App, Zelle, Venmo.
I,
Okay, let's say we start with those three.
yeah.
You grew up into that. My generation, we were doing mostly cash.
Yeah.
If you got a Christmas gift, it will be in an envelope. It will be a cash, and then you have to go out of the house to go spend it. Do you think you guys having this access to money in your palm is better or worse compared to the scenario I just gave you?
Yeah, I'll say it's better, but there is some pros and cons to it. I would say the pros is that with money being so easy to access, we are able to give each other money without having to do any extra steps, and it's a lot more efficient. And if you needed money desperately for any occasion, you
Hmm.
can get the money instantly.
So is that good or bad?
That would be a good thing. Yeah, that would be a
If
good
you
thing.
need money for any occasion instantly?
For a desperate situation, you need
What
money.
is a desperate situation for a 14-year-old?
You know,
Give me an example.
for example,
Yeah.
you okay, maybe not for 14-year-olds,
Yeah, for
but
you.
or
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah. Okay, in general.
yeah, in general, I'll say possibly like you get a new car and your car breaks down, you have no money,
Hmm.
and you need some kind of money to pay to help repair it. Or for example, you have no gas in your car and you have no money.
Hmm.
Having a quick Cash App, and so in Cash App you real fast and you'll get that money.
Okay, but let's talk about you as a 14-year-old. What could be an example of a desperate situation where you need to use Cash App? For example, what?
I
Or you
would
never?
say,
Hmm.
I would say, great question.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Think about it. I'm going to come back to that.
Hmm.
But my opinion on that, to be honest with you, is I understand the convenience of it,
Hmm.
but if you don't understand how to use money, that could be dangerous, right?
Yes.
Because now you can spend your money on games,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Because you could just go online because now somebody just transferred you your Christmas gift.
Yep.
You can do Uber or DoorDash
Yeah.
immediately with that.
Yeah.
So would you say that? Because when I was growing up, if somebody gave me cash, right, I couldn't instantly spend it. Let's say it's Christmas. My uncle gave me $100 or whatever, right?
Hmm.
I'm holding on to it in my hand, and that's it. I have to wait till the next opportunity when I'm out. So it gives me time to think about what to do with the money,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so back to you again. Do you think that having um, the quick access to money is a good thing for your generation?
I guess I'll lean more towards no because it creates more impulsive behavior,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like at such a young age, all you think about is what you want, what you want, what you want, what you want, and you don't really think about what you need
Mm-hmm.
because most of the time your parents do everything else for you. They give you what you
Mm-hmm.
need,
Mm-hmm.
and so when you get money, it's usually for what you want. And since most of the time you need to have a card, they go spend on online, and that money goes to DoorDash, it goes to games, it goes to really anything.
So, how can you, if you were to give advice to your
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old self
Yes.
on how to handle money that you receive through Cash App or Zelle to your bank account,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell yourself if you wanted to avoid misusing that money on impulse, like you just said? What would you do differently?
I would say for me, I would probably, when I get the money, I would first think about like what do I really need at the moment instead of what I want. I would say it's what I'm growing on myself because in the past I've gotten money and I just blow it all out and then I need something and then I look at my account, I have nothing. And so I would say like setting like a certain limit of how much money you use. So like saving some of it. Yeah.
Let's talk about savings. So, do you do you save? How
Yes.
do you save?
I usually save 10% of what I get.
You usually,
Yeah, usually.
all the time.
For the most part. For the most
So
part.
how do you? So let's say I send you $100 right now to Zelle.
$100.
How do you save 10% of that?
Well, so 10% of 100 would be $10.
Yeah, how do you save that $10? Where are you
So
gonna put it?
I would put into my savings account.
Oh, okay. You have another account that you're
Yes.
gonna put it in.
Yes, I put it in my
Okay.
savings account, yes.
And then when do you touch it?
And it's best to not touch that money until it's in a dire situation and you really need it. Otherwise, you should even know you had that money.
Sounds good, but the question is, have you ever tapped into your savings?
Multiple times.
Okay,
Multiple
why did
times.
you do it?
I would say
Was it for a need or for a want?
mixture of both.
What would you consider a need
A
at
need,
14?
a need would probably be like maybe clothes. You know, sometimes
Clothes.
you may need clothes because
What do you mean by clothes? Like your parent, I'm your parent. So
that's true. That's true.
what
That's
do you mean
true.
by you need? So you need clothes, or you go to your savings, or you need to buy something that your parents would not buy for you because it's pointless, like a particular pair of
Yeah,
sneakers or something.
maybe. Yeah, that makes more
What do
sense.
you
Yeah.
think is reasonable to tap into your savings?
For this situation, probably not. But I would say there could be a reason for clothes, but I don't think it's the best.
So what is another need?
Another need.
So let's be honest, you probably just tap into your savings because you have a craving to spend money on
Mm,
anything nonsense. So here's the
yeah.
gem, right, for you. Savings, like you said, is one thing to say it, but you have to act on it. Savings is like you put the money in the account,
Hmm.
and then what happens? You took completely forget about it. Do you know what compounding means?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's when the money eventually like grows on its own, like, and yeah, it just keeps growing on its own
But how?
through usually interest.
Okay, good. So if every year you get a gift, let's say you get, how many times do you get money gifts in a year? How much money you think you get a year from gifts?
A
Is this
year from
private?
gifts.
You don't want anybody to know
Oh
your
no, I could say this. I think a year. I've checked for this year. It's I got in total $3,000
you have in total $3,000.
this year.
How much of it did you invest?
Zero, none of it.
You didn't save any?
Oh
No.
no, 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 I did.
Oh, but okay,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
yeah.
So how much did you save out of the 3,000?
100.
You saved 100, so
Yes,
you got work to do because
yes.
you didn't save. So here's the thing. The thing is, me talking back to my 14-year-old self.
Hmm.
If I learned how to save at that point, I would even save more than 10%, because in reality, you don't really have any need,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So the truth is, you are at the crossroads between, you're about to be 18 and be a young adult. And if you learn these things right now, take your phone and let's see something. We're gonna
All right.
figure out something, right?
Okay.
So we're gonna get a calculator. You got $3,000, right? So let's say you saved half of that.
3,000.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's say you saved half of that. So that's $1,500, right?
Mm-hmm.
Multiply that, let's say, to when you're 25. That's, yeah.
37,000.
No, but no, I didn't say 1,500 by 25. I'm saying 1,500 each year you save
Mm-hmm.
for the next 10 years. That's simple math.
Oh,
1,500 for 10 years. How much is that?
that's 15,000.
Okay, so if you save, that's without interest, right? But let's get a financial calculator. Go to Google, right? Go to Google
Mm-hmm.
right now. Go to Google on your phone and go to compounding interest calculator. Compound interest calculator, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'll go with Nerd Wallet, maybe. Okay.
All right.
So let's say you start with 1,500, 1,500, right? We're
Yeah.
working, we're working.
Mm-hmm.
How many
1,500.
years?
10 years. She said.
Okay. And let's say your percentage of interest, let's use an average 8%.
8%. All right.
Okay. Monthly compounding. Every year you add another 1,500. You see the contribution amount?
Mm-hmm.
So you add another 1,500 from your gifts again every year. Then let's calculate. See how much is that?
$25,371.
And that would be when you're like what? 24
25.
years because you're 14 now.
Yes, yes.
So when you're 24 years old, if you saved 50% of your and not touch it of your Christmas gifts
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, right?
Yep.
1,500. That's how much you will have in at 24. Do you think that's a lot of money?
Yeah.
25K, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the trick to savings.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you saved all of 3,000.
Oh,
You
that's true.
have like
Yeah.
50 grand in your pocket at 25,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so savings. What do you know about budgeting?
Budgeting. Yeah.
Wait, first of all, do you have friends in school who save? They talk
Yeah.
about saving. You guys
Yeah.
talk about savings?
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I would say the difference is that most of my friends they don't have cards like a debit card or anything linked to it. So
Mhm.
when they save,
Mhm.
it's just all cash, and
Oh.
so it's a lot like they go to me. I'm like their credit card. So they come to me when they want something online, and they pay me. And I
Uh
made them
oh.
charge interest. Actually,
What?
I'd be generous though. I'd be a
Oh.
little
So
generous.
this is your side hustle?
Yeah, I'll say
Well,
that.
let's make sure that it's legal first. So what happens now?
So, for example, let's say my friend wants something from the game
Mm-hmm.
and it costs $10
Mm-hmm.
and he
Mm-hmm.
has only $10 on him, or not
Mm-hmm.
$10 on him. I have the money.
On
I have
your
the card.
card.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I may do is I may buy like a gift card
Mm-hmm.
or I'll go into the account and just buy it.
And then they'll pay you how much? So the
They'll
thing
pay me.
costs $10.
Yep. And they'll
Uh,
pay me
like how much?
like 13,
Oh,
$14.
so you make like $3.
Yeah.
A service fee. All right, all
Yes.
right, all right. So
Yes.
you getting your little side hustle. What
Yes.
are some of the other side hustles? Mm-hmm.
Another one I would say is especially last year,
Mm-hmm.
something very similar, but it was more targeted. So there
Mm-hmm.
was these shorts, and everybody liked them so much, and I managed to find it on like AliExpress for like $5,
What was
$3.
it?
Yeah, it was like some fake shorts. I don't even know what they were,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and I got them for like $5. Everybody wanted them, but most people didn't have a card at the time. So what I did was, I would be like, "Oh, I could buy you these shorts right now." I'll go up to any person randomly. Some kid, like, I buy you these shorts for like $10. I just change the price every time, and I will start high so I can bring them down to a price that I want. So I'll be like, oh, I could buy it for you for like 12, $13, and
Mm-hmm.
they'd be like, oh no, how about 10? And I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So yeah, and then after I buy it, I'll ship it. I'll get it to them. I'll bring it to them to school, or I ship it to their house.
Wow. And then how do you get paid? They give you
Yeah,
cash?
they give me cash.
How much money did you make doing that?
I would say a good like $200.
That's good.
Yeah,
So basically, what you're doing is you're like a middleman.
yeah.
Even though you're not buying them at wholesale, are you?
No,
Do you know what wholesale means?
yeah. It's like, isn't it like straight from like the company?
Like you're buying in bulk.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're just buying like a person.
Hmm.
You just buy it and then you. Well, so you're doing a service fee. Okay, all
Hmm.
right, all right.
Hmm.
So what about other things that you see other people do, not you do,
I would say what I see a lot of people doing is,
to make money? Your age, around your age, YouTube people that are YouTubers.
yeah, I know people like to stream, like play games and try to do like tournaments. And I know people who do a lot of like selling stuff
Do you
too.
think people actually like? I know people make money from YouTube and streaming channels,
Hmm.
but is it just for a handful of people, or like a kid like you can just get up and start a YouTube? Is
I,
it how difficult is it for you guys?
I would say it's really hard. I mean, you have to put in a lot of time if you want that to like actually happen.
Hmm.
I know like some people they may have gotten close, but it takes a lot of time and like effort
Hmm.
to like be able to do that well
Hmm.
in like streaming, YouTube, and all of them really. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I would say if anything,
Hmm.
if you want to become like make some money doing something similar, it'd be like TikTok
Hmm.
because every a million views it's like $1,000 for like their creator program.
Hmm.
And TikTok is not that hard to go like viral in. You just
Hmm.
gotta know like what's trending.
Trending.
So yeah.
Okay, but you have to have the personality for that,
Yeah, that's
right?
true too. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go back to. I wanted to talk about something when we were talking about savings.
Hmm.
So, what do you think is something you can do that will help you remember to save, like all the time? What's the what in your mind, right? Okay, I got some money, I need to save some. But what can you prepare? How do you prepare to make sure that you're saving?
I would say what I usually do is just I just really think real hard about the money. Like what I have this money, what do I really want to do with it? Like
Right,
is there something I wanted? Is it really worth me getting? Because some things you get it and then it's like whatever,
right.
you know. So I have to really count the cost. And so I,
So
I
then,
think that like, yeah, I'll get money. I'll set some aside, but like for like the whole entire rest of it, I think that like really I could save like most of my money I get.
okay, so this is where budgeting comes in. You know what a budget is? What's a
Yes.
budget?
So it's like when you have money targeted to go to different things and you kind of like organize
Have
it.
you had a budget before?
No, I've never.
Okay, so you need to get a budget. You need to get a book. Well, in your generation, you could use your phone. There's
Yeah.
budget apps, but just to be simple, you can get like a notepad and say,
Mhm.
okay, I have $100. I know $20 got to go to savings. You see, I upped it to 20% because you really
Mhm.
have no needs.
Yeah.
All your needs are taken care of. So you say, okay, I'm gonna save $20 to $30. I can only spend $10. You have to have a portion of your money where you're like, I can only spend this X amount on, let's say, my games. If I'm gonna do Uber Eats, you got to remember that however you treat money now, is the foundation of how you're gonna treat money at 24,
Mhm.
and it's gonna get worse at 35. So what you're training yourself to do is to make sure all your money has a place to go,
Mhm.
so that you're not just, okay, I'm going to put $20 aside and the rest, long as I got that 20 to the side, I can misuse the rest of it, because then you're going to find out that you're still wasting money even though you're saving. You could have either saved more or spend your money properly. So cuz later on when you become an adult or a young adult, you're going to realize that that same money that you got now has to go to a phone bill. Some has to go to your light bill. Some has to go to food. Some has to go to gas, transportation. So if you learn how to use, spread your money that way, and then train yourself to not go past any limit that you set for yourself. Like I can never spend more than this on a video game.
Hmm.
And that's the max, no matter what. That kind of attitude. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, well let's talk about AI. What is AI? What role does AI play in your life?
So that's a great question, actually, because I would say you would assume that kids would use AI for like schoolwork and everything like that. But if you haven't heard, there was a student who made like a program called Zero Chat GBT,
It's
and it
called what?
Chat GBT,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally reverses AI. So it detects whether AI is used or not, and so many
Mm-hmm.
teachers they use that, and so
Oh,
kids
okay.
when they want to like cheat
For
something,
plagiarism.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they get caught, and you get in big trouble in school if you get caught plagiarizing using AI. So, you know, I would say if anything, most of us will probably use it to like help learn more about a topic
Mm-hmm.
rather than like to use it for your work.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I have a question, right? Right. I'm just thinking, like, if I if if I were 14 years old now, and I see all these things that AI can do, I'll be concerned about what kind of work I will do in the future. When we first came in this building, you saw you saw him show us
Is
uh, all these things that he's doing with AI, right?
yeah.
And that's he literally said, "Oh, you're gonna be replaced." Ha 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 ha
Yeah.
ha. So, do you even think about that? Like, your peers, do you guys think about what the future is when you're too? I don't think you're too young because you're gonna be 15 and very soon you're,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that most of people, I don't think they really care.
They
And I
don't
think that's,
care.
yeah, I think that's the thing. They don't care. But I also feel like it's kind of ignorance because they just don't know. So they just live in life and then they'll figure out their own.
Do they talk about? Do you have an AI class in school?
No, there's no AI. We have something kind of AI simulated. Yeah, involves AI. I have a class called computer applications. So what we do is we learn how to use spreadsheets, use
Mm-hmm.
learn how to code.
Mm-hmm.
We learn how to like use docs
Mm-hmm.
and like different stuff like how to protect ourselves online and just different like stuff around that line and like how hackers work to attack you and steal your information.
What kind of class is this again?
It's called computer
Oh,
applications.
okay. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. But you don't get to talk about the effects of AI in the social economics or social, none of that.
No.
Okay. So do kids talk about, like, I guess I'm trying to figure out, I'm remembering when I was like 15 or 16, and I knew at that age that I wanted to be a business. I wanted to go to school to do accounting, business management, and stuff like that. At that time, if there was stuff like AI that I knew was coming up, I would be a little bit, you know, concerned. But you guys are
Mm.
just riding.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about it is though is because most kids they don't know what they want to do, so they're just
They're just going with the flow.
yeah, and
That
so
makes sense. I mean, that's
yeah.
understandable. Okay, so now I want to recap with you because I wanted to talk to you because I kind of wanted to get an idea of your thoughts about money and stuff like that. So I'm going to ask you some questions,
Hmm.
and then you can ask me some questions about money, right?
All right.
So let's go. So I'm going to ask you first things first. Um, when you think of money, what role do you think it plays, and how important is it in one's life?
See, I think of money like a tool.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, just like a knife. A knife can cut food and it can
Mm-hmm.
also ruin stuff,
Mm-hmm.
So I think money can be used to help you and also to ruin you and do terrible things. So I would say, yeah, that's what
You think money is important?
yeah, I think it's pretty important
Why?
to one's life because with money it also brings you freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So I would
How does money bring you freedom?
because at a certain point you have enough money where you have free time
Mm-hmm.
and you can do whatever you want to do.
But does it give you happiness?
I wouldn't say so either
Why not?
because sometimes money can help you think that you're happy,
Mm-hmm.
but all it is just hiding the real emotions. For example, spending money on all these extra stuff when really you want to have like a family, but you're trying to spend money on the yacht, houses, all this stuff like that.
Material
Yeah,
things.
materialistic things. And I think that's what people forget is that like money is not just for materialistic things. And I think that's what most people think about when they have money.
How important do you think education is?
Yeah, I say it's pretty important, but what I do think is that oftentimes in my grade, kids all over, they see school as like some side gig, like you just go to school just to go to school. Most of them don't try and don't care.
Well, when I'm circling back to you, do you think, why do you think is important?
Well, I think
Education.
school is important, education is important because like it's great to have like learning and just building different like tools, like learning different things you can use to
Mhm.
your life, like different skills,
Mhm.
like math, learning those different things can help you do different things in your job or work in life.
Do you guys are 14 because you probably start going to college at 18? Do you guys talk about college?
Briefly, I'll say.
And when you do, what do you talk about?
I think really it's just like more on what do you want to do? Like, what would you do in college? Like, what would you take? And around those lines.
You think college is important?
I would say times are different. So I'll say you can go to college, but you just have to know what you want to do. You can't go to
When do
college.
you think somebody should know when what they want to do?
I would say like 10th grade, definitely. 10th grade at least. It's better, younger is better, but like by 10th grade, you should because after 10th grade, that's when like you now have all these different responsibilities. You can learn how to drive. You can do all this extra stuff. So
What happens at 10th grade? Well, how old are most people at 10th grade?
they're 16.
16.
Yeah.
What happens then that makes you think you should kind of decide what you would like to do? Like, what's the, yeah,
Because correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure by 16 you can start also getting like applying for like college stuff.
for some people,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so I think it's better to like have yourself thinking about it because next year in 11th grade you can take what's it called tours.
I have a question. What do you what do you think? What's the influence? I'm your dad. What's the influence? What kind of influence do you think a parent has on making steering you towards what you want to be or your career path in life?
Yeah, I'll say your parents has a big part to do with it because if you see oftentimes your parents doing this thing, you kind of think about it and you kind of like soak the information up, especially when you're younger
Hmm.
because you just take everything you see. And so with your parents telling you this is good, this is bad, you'll likely lean toward their direction,
Mm.
you know. And what they say, you're usually the five people you surround yourself with, and so your parents is definitely two of them. And so you have some of their characteristics and probably follow some of their path.
Would you say it's easy to follow the wrong path?
Yes, definitely.
How so?
I'll say now, especially because of how much information and how easy it is to get it, and even with your friends and how you can just be doing anything and then randomly get sent something and it could ruin you. What One of the things I learned was it was like this: poison can kill you whether your friend gives it to you, your mom gives it to you, your dad gives it to you. It can kill you no matter what, which is how I think of anything anyone gives you. So any information they give you.
So if somebody sends you information on your phone and it's like the worst thing and you never wanted to see it, how do you handle that? How do you treat that?
Oftentimes, you just gotta deal with it. Sometimes, depending
Do
what it
you
is,
talk about it? Do you talk to your parents about it, or you deal with it yourself?
I most of the time I feel like some stuff I just deal with it. But like if it's very serious, you may want to go to your parents about it.
Okay. Now, do you see people getting weak in that area? Like they just fall for the nonsense? Like, what makes you? Do you feel like you're strong enough to get like a bad visual on a text that you know this is really bad? I shouldn't be seeing this. Do you feel like you're able to control that? And if so, why? What makes you able to control it better than somebody else who might get soaked into it and follow the wrong path? What makes you different? How did you learn to be like, okay, I'm not doing this? Is it because is it church? Is it just what is it?
Yeah, I'll say it's my conviction for God, like my own conviction, because the Bible tells you to watch your mind and like what watch where you're feeding yourself, because what you take in, it's you can't get rid of it. It's like dirt and water. You can't get rid of all that dirt. Once there's some dirt inside, that water's not pure anymore.
Okay, Jeremiah's dropping gems on me. This is 2-0, man. You're dropping some gems on me. Have
That's
you been reading my books secretly? So let's it's your turn.
so. My question to you is, what made you want to do be an accountant?
Oh, okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
My dad, your grandfather, was an economist. So he worked in the banking and financial industry. So I knew that I wanted to either do exactly what he did or something else. But me trying to do what he did, remember, I was growing up in Ghana, right? Exposed me. So if I was going to study economics, it would expose me to accounting, marketing, everything business. So when I started studying accounting, I was like, oh, okay, this this looks exciting. The idea that there was a challenge for me to balance, you know, the basics of accounting is normally just balancing books, right? If something is off, it's debit and credit, right? If something is off, the two numbers at the end are not gonna match. So you have to figure out what's causing the problem, or that means you didn't do something right. So I got excited about solving those type of problems, like and then you get excited, and then the debit says 5,000, and the credit has to say 5,000. So if you get 5,000, you get excited. So it's like it was that instant gratification of solving accounting problems that got me excited, and then I was the best in my class, and I was getting really, really good at it. Then I looked at it and I said, hey, this, everybody needs an accountant. So my thought process is it doesn't matter who it is. The government needs accountants. Doctors need accountants. Lawyers need accountants. Nonprofits need an accountant. Musicians need accountant. Everything around you, somewhere in the background, there's an accountant helping to fix the book. So I was like, well, I'll always have a job. I'll always have something to do. That's how I looked at it.
All right, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. All right.
That's very important. You can't do anything that you don't enjoy. I enjoy right now in, in my business. I enjoy when I help people solve complex problems, Wh- whether it's whether it's an accounting problem or they have tax issues and stuff like that, it's a great feeling to look and solve a problem to make somebody's life easier. So, in every work you do, you also want to find a way to give.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's how I also give. It's not about, hey, just pay me, I'm gonna do this for you. It's also like, hey, I solved a problem for you. You know, you were going to pay $50,000 in taxes, and now we figured out a way to legally save you 30,000. So now you only have to pay 20,000,
Mm-hmm.
and that's they get excited, right? So that's also satisfactory to me.
Mm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now, 24 years old, when you cash in your savings? See, you got a new slate now, right? You know where to go to find your compounding calculator. You know, you're gonna put in if I save this amount this year, and I wait for 10 years and I keep saving the same amount every year. I mean, you'll be surprised. 10 years would just go by and you'll be right there. And you can have like 30, 40,000, maybe 50. And you know what happens? There's something with money, right? If you go to the adults in your life, right? Myself, your mom, whoever, and you show them, hey, look, this is what I've been saving for the last 5 years. This is what my strategy is. What do you think will happen next in your mind? Let's say you came to me 5 years from now and said, hey, look, this is what I've been doing every year, saving this, and it's compounding for 5 years. What do you think I would do?
You'd probably trust me with more money.
Right. And I'll probably say, really? You know what? This year I'm gonna do what? Give you more. I said get because you're not wasting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know about the parable of talents in the Bible, since you brought that your conviction in the conversation. You know about that.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure.
You know what the rich man or the ruler gave somebody. I believe it was. I don't know the numbers, but
Mm.
it was basically gave them some money to invest.
Yep.
And then what happened?
Some of them digged it underground.
One dug it underground because he was afraid of losing it,
Yep.
right? And then the other two invested it, right? And when he came back, he gave more. He took the money from the one who buried it
Mm-hmm.
and gave it to the one that invested it.
Yep.
What do you learn from that?
Yeah, I've learned pretty much don't. The most important thing is probably don't miss out on important opportunities, and to also make a move. Yeah.
I think it's also important to understand that it's also saying don't waste your talent.
Yes, sure.
Everybody has a talent in them, right? The earlier you find out what your talent is something that you will notice that you're very good at, you get excited about, and people always ask you to help them with that thing, those kind of a thing, right? So don't waste your talent. That's one. And two, work on getting better on your talent. Invest into your talent. So if your talent is, what would you say your talent is?
I'll say my talent is technology stuff.
Okay, so get better at technology. Don't wait for your teacher to teach you the curriculum and that's it. So you in the class, you have a schoolwork and it's talking about, example, what? Just give me one
Math.
thing, math. Say it's talking about what? Give me one thing you're studying now.
Formulas.
Formulas. So now you get inquisitive and go. You got AI now. You can go and
Hmm.
say, "Let me. I want to get the advanced information on what I'm learning now, because I know they're teaching me this so I can pass this grade. But what can I know more about this? Because you're gonna see it again, but at a higher level and a higher level. So the more you invest in what you're doing and so for example, you see me all the time doing what?
Working.
Studying.
Yeah.
Well, besides working,
Yeah.
I'm always studying, right? I'm always reading. I'm always watching podcasts or searching stuff on YouTube to make me better
Hmm.
because I want to be the best accountant that ever lived. That's what I want. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's Jam. Okay, another question for me or that?
You have another question, all right? So this question is, what's your opinion on cryptocurrency? Because that's really big right now. Even like big streamers, they're advertising it. People that kids look up to, watching on live streams and everything, they're into it. And so I'm just curious, what's your take?
Okay, so I can't give you a professional advice on that, right? But I could tell you my opinion. Just, my opinion is that crypto is great. All I have to do is just follow the data,
Hmm.
right? Just go back and say, well, let me see how crypto has performed for the last 10 years. So if you go back and start looking, if you take the most common one, which is Bitcoin, and you go back for the last 10 years, it just keeps going up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are times when it goes up and down, but consistently it's been going up and up,
Hmm.
sometimes over 100%, right?
Yep.
So, my belief is, without being a super expert and saying, "Oh, I'm 100% sure," but my belief that crypto is definitely a way of the future. I would also look at the systems around blockchain technology
Hmm.
and AI around those things. That's our because although as let's say for example, as Bitcoin gets bigger, all those things around it are also
Hmm.
gonna get bigger.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I also believe that is the way of the future. You know, do you know one reason why is also a very important thing is one of the ways that eliminate the regular banking system that we have now, where your
Hmm.
money's in the bank. So you everybody knows that your money's in the bank. The bank knows your money's in the bank. The government knows your money's in the bank. When you put your credit card in, there's so many permissions that take place. And in this particular instance, when you're dealing with crypto and stuff like that, all those regulations are reduced, right? So
Hmm.
it's kind of like you have a little bit more control of
Hmm.
your money. The other thing that I like about this whole blockchain technology and stuff like that is the trust factor. So, do you know what the blockchain is, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. So, the blockchain is like kind of like a database of information that's being a bunch of computers that are watching everything for all the people that are doing transactions. So, say if I send you a Bitcoin or something like that, right? I don't need a higher person to verify or to make sure of anything.
Hmm.
These computers have been set up in a way that they're able to verify the transaction and to make it they have something called a smart contract that comes up anytime transactions happen on the blockchain to make sure that all these computers agree that this transaction happened between me and Jeremiah. And so it's locked in. You can't come back and say, "Oh, you didn't send me the money or I didn't send you the money." It's something of that sort. It's not more complex than that. But it's going to be one thing in the future to help people trust people doing business, especially if you do. You know how you like to buy stuff on Temu and ship them and all that stuff. You might send money to an unknown place and stuff like that, and you're not sure if you're gonna get scammed or whatever.
Hmm.
In this instance, you could probably protect the transaction better. It's gonna help in the future
Hmm.
for people who do a lot of international businesses to other
Yes.
places and stuff like that. So yes, I do think crypto is the future, and I think I'm still learning more about it, and I think that you should too. Like start when you in your spare time, read about it.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I will say though, I know one of the most common ways people use Bitcoin,
Hmm.
not for good though. I know a lot of hackers actually use Bitcoin. For,
How?
so with oftentimes
Hmm.
they, so I recently got hacked like over a couple months ago,
Hmm.
and when I did, this hacker was telling me about how like all their transactions has to be really through Bitcoin because of how the way it's kind of under the radar.
Right.
And so
It's
oftentimes, yeah.
decentralized. So it's yes, that's what that is.
So and how they do this is sometimes they'll get like huge amounts of money and this like they'll spread it out between a whole different bunches of accounts,
Hmm.
and eventually they take that money. And this is one of the biggest ways I know hackers use Bitcoin. So sometimes people get emails saying, "Oh, you have to give me this or that for this much Bitcoin because
Hmm.
I have this on you." And so,
Oh, it's like they have a ransom on you.
yeah, they have ransom on you.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, they use Bitcoin, and so
Hmm.
I find that very interesting.
Well, with every good thing, there are always bad actors. You understand what I'm
Mm,
saying? There's always
yeah.
going to be. It's the same thing with. There are people that go into people's bank accounts now
Mm.
and steal their money. There are people. The other day, I just saw how it was on the news how somebody put a fake credit card
Oh,
reading machine.
skimmers. Yep.
Yeah. So there's always going to be those negative things. But if you, I feel that you have to use, you have one, don't do transactions with strangers. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do transactions with a third party, make sure it's with what's called a trusted partner. You understand what I'm saying? You have to always vet the background of what you're doing because scammers will definitely find their way into anything that's legal and try to, especially when it involves technology and you don't really know that much is really really easy. Because I've heard a lot of people tell me that even their Bitcoin was stolen from their
Yep.
wallet and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But you can always have something called a ledger. You ever heard of that?
No.
You know how you have a USB stick?
Yes.
So there's something called a ledger that you can store that has a pass code on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about 12 or 15 words. I forgot. I have one. When I launched my NFTs and all that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I used to save all my crypto on a ledger. So it's unless you have that key, you can't access those things. So there's something
Mm-hmm.
to look into that. Look that up. Okay. So we're having fun. We're talking about money, Gen Z. Gen Z's not broke. You're the future. All that good stuff. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I see myself 10 years. So I'll be 24.
Mm-hmm.
So at 24 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I see myself.
You take your time
Question.
and think. Mm-hmm.
I'll say 24. At 24 years old, 10 years from now, assuming I know what I want to do with myself in the future, I'll probably be doing something that involves money because I'll say I do enjoy math.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll say I'll probably take a route of like something to do with the economy and money, definitely. So yeah.
Something to do with money.
Yes, definitely.
So would you be done with college by then? 10 years from now?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So 10 years from now, you're gonna be working somewhere along the money,
Yeah.
like maybe an investment banker
Yeah.
or financial analyst, something where you need your brain and math to.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Mhm.
We had this whole conversation, right? And we were supposed to ask me back and forth questions. We were supposed to do the back and forth thing. You asked me two. I think I asked you like two or three,
Mhm.
and you did really good and excellent. But we forgot something very important. Two more things, and then we're done.
All right.
Credit.
Credit.
When I say credit, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, when you say credit,
Hmm.
I think of money that you don't not. Oh, that's not your money. That's
Yeah. So in America right now, when we say credit, like say your credit, do you know what a credit score is?
Pretty sure, yes.
What is that?
Isn't it like the score like you get based off how well you do like with a credit card and like your debt?
Hmm.
And so like the higher is better. Higher is better, yeah.
Do you know
And like a better credit score gives is like a better look for you if you want to get like a loan or you want like
what's
a
the
higher
highest
limit.
credit score one can get?
Is it like 800?
Close enough. 850.
850. All right. 850.
So what would you consider a good credit card? I
A
mean,
good.
a good credit score
Oh, probably like 700 then.
or better.
Yeah.
Do your friends in school know what credit is?
I don't think so because yeah, I don't think so. I don't think most people know how credit works because even when I was scrolling on TikTok, some guy was talking about credit. Everybody in the comments seemed to be like learning about it for the first time.
Mm,
So I think most people don't necessarily know how it works.
that's that's crazy to me because credit is like, especially if you live in the United States where everything is based on credit, it's like the most important thing you can ever have.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, you know, being on my own in college at 17. I didn't have any at the time. I didn't have any. I turned 18. I didn't have. My parents were still in Ghana, and I was out here. And you walk into the student union building, and you see all the credit card companies there. That's when they.
Mm.
That's when they come for you first. So right there in that student union building, you see American Express, Discover Card, Capital One, all of them visas. They're like, hey, come here, fill out this form. They don't even really tell you what you're doing, you know. So you feel like, yeah, you want a credit card, you can get one, and you know, you fill it out, and then they give you. They don't tell you how to spend it or anything. They just you put your social security number down, da 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 da, and I don't know how it's done today, but back in my day, that's how they did it. Then you get the credit card. So I remember I got like a Discover card, a Visa card, a Mastercard. I got all of them, American Express
Mm.
card. And I was like, oh, I got money. I wasn't thinking of paying it back. I just, once again, I didn't have the education. I didn't have anybody to tell me what to do. So guess what I did? I went shopping, and I not only did I go shopping for myself, I did it for my friends. Oh, you guys want to go to the movies and eat? Nah, man, I'm broke. I don't have money. Ah, come on, man, let's roll. I got you. And fast forward, you can imagine what happened to my credit. So when you start, you have to hold on dear to that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot play with credit. You know why? You need it for everything. When you go to buy a car, you're gonna need it. When you go to buy a house, you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it throughout. And so you can also be a advocate. If you have friends and they don't know about it, all you gotta do is go to AI or ChatGPT and learn about credit
Mm-hmm.
some more, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that you know that you cannot mess up your credit card ever. You can't. You have to use money that you can pay. You see, the way it happens is you get the money on the card, you spend it, and at the end of the month, you get a bill. And then they'll tell you you can pay a minimum amount. So let's say you spent $500 on your credit card. They'll tell you, oh, your minimum amount due is $24. So what happens? This is how people get in debt. They only pay the $24, and then
Mm-hmm.
they they'll keep spending, and they'll just be paying the minimum. And then before you know it, you're piled up. Then you're paying interest on the debt, which is normally quite high. And
Mm-hmm.
then before you know it, you're in a deep hole. So you don't spend what you can't pay off, or don't spend it at all. So at the end of the month, if you
Mm-hmm.
spend it, 500, make sure you find that 500 and just pay it off. So that's credit.
Mm-hmm.
What about it? It's a form. Credit is a form of debt. But I was talking to a Gen Z on this podcast before, but they're the older version of Gen
Mm-hmm.
Z. They're like 21,
Oh.
and they were telling me that Gen Zs, because I know Gen Zs are from 1997 to 2012, so you fall right at the
Yeah.
cusp of it.
Yep.
So they were telling me that Gen Zs don't believe in debt. What is debt?
Well, debt is the money you owe, and so like when people say they're millionaires,
Mm-hmm.
some of them only millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
After debt, that will make them a true millionaire. So I would say that is a very important piece of like your worth and your wealth.
Mm. It's called a net worth.
Yeah, net worth. There you go.
So when you pay, after you remove all the money that you owe, what's really left is what you're really worth.
Hmm.
And a lot of times it's pretty bad, you know? So, so at least you understand that. So where I leave this conversation with you is you cannot be in what I call a bad debt.
Hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Businesses sometimes have what's called a good debt because somebody would borrow money to invest in the business and then they grow the business so that they can pay the money back. So that could be good debt. But if you go borrow money to go buy, a Ferrari and you don't need it for anything,
Hmm.
I mean, if you bought a Ferrari because you're going to be renting it to rappers for their videos so you can make your money, then that's could be a good investment. But if you're just borrowing the money to just blow it, then
Hmm.
you know. Any last questions for me?
Let me think real quick.
Well,
Oh yeah. Okay, I was gonna ask. So, what do you say? Like, what kind of purchases you think that you should be using a credit card for?
I would say don't use it.
Mm.
Don't use it until I think if you have a necessity, it's for a need. To me, if you don't need to use it, you don't need to use it. However, the system is set up in a way that if you don't use credit cards, then you can't build your credit.
Mm.
So, so it's a way to use it. In my opinion, is not a professional advice. I'm not one of those credit card gurus that hey don't I'm not one of those. But all I can say that I know is financially sound is make sure you have the money to pay it off at the end of the month. So let's say if your budget has $50 a month saved up for food, right? That's what you go out to eat. Your Uber Eats and all of that is only $50 a month, and you have the credit card and you use it. You already know you have $50 there to pay off, and you can't spend more than that 50. That kind of approach, and then it will show that you're using your credit, and then the more you use your credit wisely, your score gets to build up more.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you what they're saying about Gen Z according to the internet. It says Gen Z exhibits a strong inclination towards saving, with many prioritizing financial security. A survey revealed that 71% believe they will achieve financial security in the future. That's a lot. 71% believe, right? And then most of you, I guess the older Gen Zs, witnessed the 2008 financial crisis. You weren't born then.
Yeah. No.
But what happened then was there was a big financial collapse, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should look into that. That's good
Yeah, I
financial
read a
history.
story about that.
Okay, that's good. And the COVID-19 pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
you were there for that. And Gen Z is cautious about incurring debt. Many aim to avoid financial pitfalls and right the experienced by their previous generations, so they have a more conservative approach to credit.
Mm-hmm.
Approximately 48% of Gen Z women and 60% of Gen Z men hold investments. So it's probably going to be some of you around your age whose parents have invested for them mostly, and then those in college now who just recently started college who
Mm-hmm.
are investing using their little Robinhood apps and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the challenges that they say Gen Zs will face in the future is high cost of living. What does that mean? That means that you guys will have to figure out a way to start saving, investing, making money early so that you can, afford living.
Yep.
The future outlook, right? It says,
Mm-hmm.
despite current hurdles, Gen Z is expected to become the wealthiest generation driven by their adaptability to technology, proficiency, and anticipated inheritance from older generations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Younger members of Gen Z have ambitious financial targets, with many aiming for early retirement and substantial savings.
Yeah, I feel like most of us, no, I don't think anyone I know
Hmm.
wants a job. Like
What?
most of them do not want to even step. No, yeah,
And nobody
one,
wants to go to the office and
yeah,
work.
no. I think they've seen people do it and they're like, that's not how they want to live. So I think every single one of my friends
Hmm.
and people in my school in general,
Hmm.
all of them are trying to find ways they can make money young. Even like
Really?
now, yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. You
Yeah.
don't want to work, but how you
No.
gonna? You want to
Most of
work
them are
smart?
like starting like scratch and they're just starting like a mini business or something. Like I have a friend actually who started a clothing brand
Mm-hmm.
and he made like $1,000 in 1 month of his clothing brand.
Oh,
Clothing brand.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
good for him.
yeah.
So, you think that the previous generations, like us, your parents and stuff, were just uh, working like dogs?
Yeah, I think it like scared us away.
You think that's it?
Yeah, I think that's really it. Seeing us work like hours on hours on hours. It's
I
like
wish I could do a time machine and put you back into the old times and let one of our ancestors give you a slap. You guys think that we were just working to our, here's the thing, right? I guess every generation has its thing, but what you guys see as hard work is what this really says. See, in here it says that they expect to be the wealthiest generation, right? Because they adapt to technology, right? So if you guys are smart enough, when I look at what technology can do, if I had this as ambitious as I was, I would have been extremely financially successful a long time ago. But it says technology proficiency and what's the other word it says? Anticipated inheritance from the older generation.
hmm
So all that hard work that you guys don't want to do is because the older generation was working hard to pay to do things for you
hmm
so that you don't have to work as hard and also to eventually pass on their legacy to you.
yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's quite interesting though is funny is because then the previous generation
Hmm.
would go on and talk trash to the current generation and be like, "Oh, you guys don't know what it's like to work hard."
Yeah, you guys are lazy.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel
Is
like every
it
year it's the previous year.
that says that about the other
Yeah,
year?
yeah, because every year I feel like every generation is gonna get better.
I'm a Generation X. I don't look at millennials and say they're lazy, but I definitely can look at Gen Z and say they're lazy because I hire Gen Zs to work for me sometimes, and sometimes some of them are very hardworking, and some of them I
Mhm.
just look and I say, you have no clue of what life is about. Yeah,
Mhm.
and well, good luck to you guys. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: the way I see the world and how I see the world going in your generation, when you guys are full blown adults, it's gonna be like, my opinion, by the way, it's gonna be like a certain amount of you guys will be extremely successful, and everybody else is gonna be dependent on their wealth and the government support to live because
Yeah.
of that mentality. Because I don't care if you think you're gonna start a business, let's say a T-shirt or whatever
Mhm.
it is, and that's gonna make you work lesser than your parent that's going to work 9 to 5 or working 2 jobs or whatever. That's a misconception because running a business, a successful business, probably requires you to work. How many hours do you see me work?
Yeah, like almost 24 hours pretty much.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you can't win. You cannot make it without putting in the work. You just eventually become successful enough where you buy back your time. The
Mhm.
more money you make, you start buying back your time. You understand what I'm saying? Because now you have more people working for you,
Hmm.
doing the things that you alone were doing. So if you guys think you're gonna just take the shortcut and start a business, there's something called hard work waiting for you there,
Yeah.
or there's something called grand opening, grand closing.
Hmm.
It means your business lasted for 3 months. What happened to your business that you started?
That's a great question. I
How
think.
long did that business last? What kind of business was it again?
Oh, so it was slides and like flip flops and stuff like that. I think it lasted about like barely 3 months. I don't even think, yeah, maybe 3 months at most.
What do you think made you, you know,
I think the biggest thing was that like I don't know. I think I had like no passion for like the product, and so it was just more I was doing it as like a
a
side
hobby?
gig, yeah, like a hobby, not more of like something that I was really chasing
What
after.
lessons did you learn from? Because you started it. You did a Shopify. You
Hmm.
did this, and you had products. You were excited about it. What made you
Yeah.
excited about that to begin with?
I think was when I was doing like research on it and like different kinds of like what's it called drop shipping companies.
Mm-hmm.
It was like kind of like the first time that I had an opportunity to make money without having like a job or anything. Like
Right.
it was like
You got
me. It was like just me doing
so
it.
you got the excitement out of your
Yeah.
system,
Yeah.
right? So would you, based on your experience, so you learned there that to have a successful business is not what you think, because a lot of things you could just think about it, right? Like you would say, hey, you know what? Um, if I get this store and I ship this stuff and then you skip everything else and go and I sell 100 shoes or slides for $30. Oh, $30 and 100, I would have made $3,000. What if I sold 1,000? Oh, I would have made this. When you start looking at it from that
Yeah.
part, you're completely blinded by what it takes to actually sell five
That's
pairs of shoes,
yeah.
five pairs of slides.
Yes. See, that's exactly
So
what happened.
what you need to do,
Exactly what happened.
what you need to do in the future is what's called test the marketing. Whatever it is, whatever idea you get, test it to see your friends, your family, really, really test it to see if they'll buy it. And then make sure
Hmm.
you're testing them to buy it, not because it's you. So you have to be honest with them.
Hmm.
Would you really buy this? You know,
Hmm.
don't buy it because it's me.
Hmm.
Because everybody bought your slides because it
Yeah.
was you.
Yeah. Most
But
definitely.
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if they really bought it because it's something they liked, needed, wanted, or thought they really, really wanted, then you would have said, "Oh, okay, this is working." Then you take it to the next level. Let me just sell 5 of them and see what comes back before you go full fledged. That's
Hmm.
how it works. A lot of times we skip the work it takes to sell. We just jump straight to I'm about to
Yeah.
be a millionaire because I saw you used to come to the house and go in your pocket and pull dollar bills like, yeah, I'm making some money. I'm like, okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, I think this has been fun, right?
Hmm. Yeah. I think so.
Anything that I left out for your generation? Any conversations you guys have about money, about, you know, how you guys feel about your, see, I'm representing your parents and some parents and, you know,
Yeah.
nothing. Okay. So, what you thinking?
Oh no, I know nothing.
No, go ahead. This is an open floor.
No, because I was thinking because what's it called? I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely like I think the biggest topic is at least for my generation is like a lot of times we see things on like TikTok
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, and it kind of like gets us jumping out of our feet,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like, oh, now we gotta do this because these we see one person make it, and we forget like all the extra stuff it takes, and so now we're like, okay, we gotta do this, and then you do all that, you do start it all up, and then like a month goes by, and then you just
Realize that.
this is not for you, and like you don't even like care for it anymore. I think that's the biggest thing.
So, what's the lesson learned there then? That you should, you know, An idea is a great thing. If you don't have ideas, I feel like it's a waste of the mind,
Mhm.
right? So if you have an idea, I think you should develop it. Talk to people, talk to experts,
Mhm.
research it, take your time, because whenever it seems too good to be true, it's always too good to be true. And then see if you're passionate about it. You will know when you're passionate about it because even when you're tired,
Mhm.
you're doing it and you don't feel like you had enough, right?
Mhm.
Because you just keep going and doing it,
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll leave you with is if you get to that point where you're like, this is it, this is what I want to do not wait because the clock never stops ticking. Time is always going to go by. Just start it. It doesn't matter. Just start it in the smallest scale possible. It doesn't matter because as long as you start something and you keep at it, little drops, one step at a time, eventually it's going to become something.
Mhm.
All the big things that we see today, from Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, Tesla, all these companies, most of them were started right here. Then it went from right here to paper to computer. So if they didn't start it here, we're seeing
Mhm.
is the cyber truck.
Yep.
We're not seeing the initial thought that starts here. That was um, the idea was fed with information that allowed it to grow, and it was nurtured and nurtured over a period of time. And it's not easy. There's always a time where you're like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Mhm.
But if you're passionate about it, you're gonna see it to the end.
Mhm.
And let's talk Africa. When we talk about you on this podcast, and this podcast is powered by the next 400 bound.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about my idea of building a bridge for communities, African communities across the globe?
Yeah, I think that's good because I feel like oftentimes people in the black community we often like for example credit. We
Mm-hmm.
fall into a deep spiral of credit, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that like some of this stuff just needs to be known, like even just like the basic stuff
Mm-hmm.
can help change someone's life very easily
Mm-hmm.
from like terrible situation to even like a decent situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Before you went to Africa,
Hmm.
what was what was your thought about Africa, and then what was your thought again after you went?
At first, I thought it was gonna be like really. I really thought it was gonna be like very like exotic, very like different, completely different from how the way America was. Very like completely different, like a
Like,
whole different lifestyle, like
for example.
like sort of like kind of Caribbean vibes. Not
Mm-hmm.
exactly, but like kind of similar.
Mm-hmm.
Like just different lifestyle, different culture. Just
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But then, what was it like when you got there?
When I got there, it was very similar to the way people are in America. I'll
Oh,
say,
okay.
yeah.
In what way?
In the way of like the fast life, the roads, the constant
Everything.
trying to hustling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely very has some aspects of like the American culture.
Would you ever go back? Would you like to go back?
Yeah, definitely. It was a great time when I was there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Accra.
Mm-hmm.
I went to
What country is that?
Accra, Ghana. Yeah, I went to
Okay.
Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I went to Accra. I went to what was it Buri.
Mm-hmm.
I went to what was the last one?
Cape Coast.
Yeah, Cape Coast, and I also went to Cape Town. No,
Elmina.
yeah, Elmina. I went to. I think that's really it. Yeah, and I went to like the villages too. Yeah, the villages. That was pretty cool. Yep.
Okay. So, um, thank you for coming, and I hope that this was a great conversation, and we've learned from each other financially, and we'll circle back maybe in another year to see
Hmm.
where we are, especially with our savings, our
Yep.
budgeting, our understanding of financial literacy. Learning more about finances and money and how it works. Right. All right, y'all. This has been a great show. I'm excited, and guess what? I had it with uh, my son Jeremiah, and he's representing Gen Z. Every now and then, we like to shed some light on Gen Z, and because our next 400, the goal is to create a community of wealth and for generations to come. So they are the next generation, and they're coming after us. So we share the knowledge, and we pack financial knowledge and literacy education, so that they can have the tools that some of us didn't have when we were growing up, so they can do a lot of these things they don't learn as a curriculum in school. So that's the least that we can do, so that they know what to do when a situation arises and they have to make sane financial decisions. So you know what to do. If you like this channel, subscribe, follow us, because we're only here empowering communities, building wealth for generations to come. Until the next episode, remember, you get more out of life when you help others get what they want. Peace.